Prayer and Worship in Spirit and Truth. The True Prayer. Part 3 of 12. Revelations of Jesus Christ from 1884 to 1950. Thus saith the Lord, I bless those who pray, and the more spiritual the prayer, the greater the peace I allow them to feel. This you can understand easily, for he who relies upon prostrating before images or objects to feel the divine presence will not experience the spiritual sensation of the Father's presence within his heart. Blessed are those that have not seen, yet believe, is what I said back then, and I say it again today. For he who closes his eyes to the things of this world opens them to the spiritual, and he who has faith in my spiritual presence shall feel it and rejoice therein. When will the people of this earth cease to deprive their spirits of the joy of feeling me within their hearts by way of direct prayer, or prayer from spirit to spirit, which is essentially the same thing? Only when my light illuminates the lives of men, and they learn the truth and come to understand their mistakes. Now is the time to pray and meditate, though prayer free of fanaticism and idolatry, and serene, deeply focused meditation on my divine word. Every hour and place is appropriate for prayer and meditation. Never did I tell you in my teachings that there were specific places or times designated for prayer. Why seek any one place to pray when your spirit is greater than the entire world you inhabit? Why confine me to such limited locales when I am infinite? The biggest contributor towards spiritual poverty and earthly tribulation of men is their imperfect form of prayer, which is why I tell you that this knowledge must reach all of humanity. Not always do you pray with the same composure, and therefore you do not always experience the same peace or inspiration. There are times when you are inspired and elevate your thoughts, and there are others when you are utterly indifferent. How could you expect to receive my messages in the same form every time? You must educate your minds, and even your bodies, to cooperate with your spirits during moments of prayer. The spirit is always prepared to communicate with me, but it requires the material body to be in good shape in order to elevate itself during those moments, to free itself of everything that surrounds it in its earthly life. Make an effort to achieve true prayer, for he who knows how to pray carries within himself the key to peace, health, hope, spiritual strength, and eternal life. The invisible shield of my law protects him from all temptations and dangers. He will carry with him an invisible sword in his mouth, with which he will defeat as many enemies as would seek to contend with him. A beacon will illuminate his way amidst the storms. Miracles will be perpetually within his reach, whenever he may have need of them, whether for himself or for the good of his brothers. Pray, practice that noble gift of the Spirit, for that strength shall be the thing to move the life of the men of the future, those who shall be able to communicate with me from spirit to spirit while still being in the flesh. Through prayer will parents receive the inspirations to properly guide their children. The sick will receive health through prayer. The heads of state will resolve their great problems by seeking light within prayer. and the scientists too will receive revelations through the gift of prayer. Disciples, in the second era, my apostles inquired of me how they should pray, and I taught them the perfect prayer, which you call the Our Father. Now I tell you, be inspired by this prayer, by its meaning, humility, and faith, so your spirit may communicate with mine. For it will not be your material lips that shall pronounce those holy words. No, it will be your spirits that speak to me in their own language. Make sure it is not your lips that call me Father, for many of you tend to do this by rote. When you say, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, I wish that those words come from the deepest chamber of your heart, by meditating on each sentence, so that you are inspired thereafter and in perfect communion with me. I have taught you the mighty and perfect prayer, that which truly brings the child closer to its father. Upon pronouncing the word Father with fervor and reverence, with elevation and love, with faith and hope, then will distances shorten and spaces disappear. For in that moment of spirit-to-spirit communication is God not far from you, and neither are you far from him. Pray thus, and within your hearts you will receive the blessing of my love in abundance. The 4 aspects of the perfect prayer. Struggle to attain spiritual perfection. I have shown you the way to reach that goal. I have entrusted you with prayer, a weapon more powerful than any material one, so you may defend yourselves against the malice you will encounter on your life's journey. However, the most effective weapon you will only possess when you obey my law. What does prayer consist of? Prayer is a plea, an intercession, worship, and contemplation. Each of its constituent parts are necessary, for one springs forth from the other. Truly, I tell you, the plea consists of man pleading with me to fulfill his wishes, to satisfy the yearnings he believes to be the most important and beneficial to his life. Again, truly, I tell you, my children, the Father hears the pleas and gives to each and every one that which he needs most, as long as it is for his own good. However, be careful not to ask for something that is in opposition to the salvation of your spirit. For those who merely ask for material goods, carnal pleasures, or ephemeral power are indirectly asking for their spirit to be put in chains. Carnal pleasures bring only suffering, not only in this world, but even after the transition into the spiritual world. For the influence of these material desires can reach even that place. When the spirit is unable to free itself of those yearnings, he continues to be tormented by them, wishing to return to the earth again and again, to be reincarnated and continue living in the flesh. So, my children, ask only for what you truly need for the good of your spirit. The second form of prayer, intercession, springs from the love of one's neighbor, from the love I taught you as master when I came into this world. Pray for your brothers, both near and far, for those in nations suffering the consequences of war, and those suffering the tyranny of the transient rulers of this world. Prepare yourselves, O my children. Pray for your fellow men. But even during these intercessions, you must know how to ask properly, for it is the spirit that truly matters. Should your brother or sister, your parents, or your children fall ill, pray for them, but do not insist that they remain in this life, should that not be what the spirit needs. Better to ask that their spirit be freed, so it may be purified in its suffering, and that the pain encourages spiritual elevation. That is why the Master taught you during the Second Era to say the following: Father, your will be done. For the Father knows better than any of his children what the Spirit requires. The third form of prayer, worship of the Divine Spirit, denotes the adoration of all that is perfect. For by means of this prayer, you may unite with that perfection, with the love that encompasses the entire universe. In worship, you will find the state of perfection that each of you must attain, and through this, you will arrive at spiritual contemplation, which, together with worship, will bring about unity with the Divine Spirit, the source of eternal life, the source that grants you the strength, day after day, to reach the kingdom of the Father. Thus you shall pray, starting with the prayer of petition, and all the way to spiritual contemplation. This will grant you strength. Once you are well prepared, you shall not struggle solely for yourselves, but also for your fellow men, assisting them in pursuing this path. For you cannot attain spiritualization solely for yourselves. Instead, you must struggle to attain it for the whole of humanity.